I'm Chris, I'm the founder of Britain Has Class, and actually a lot like Cracked It, I graduated from LSE last summer, and then a couple months later, with absolutely no money or no real clue of what's going on, I founded Britain Has Class. And we're based on the idea that we think about class inequality the wrong way, and if we really corrected the way that we think about what it is to be working class, and what class inequality means, we could make a real difference in the lives of actual working class people. So this is our mission statement. We believe that real class equality, that welfare and justice, comes through the platforming of working class experiences, the connecting and training of working class activists, and the fight for official, permanent representation. The importance of class. We have had quite a spike in interest in class recently. There's been a lot of documentaries and articles and think pieces about it, but it's been within a wider context of this sort of apathy, the idea that class doesn't matter anymore, that we live in a society where, regardless of how you're born or what family you're born into or where you're from, if you really want to make it and you work hard enough, you can make it. And it's the official stance of Britain Has Class as a registered charity that is bollocks, and I would like to tell you why. So our first of three facts is that the sort of existence of this thing called the class ceiling, which was found by the Sutton Trust, that 7% of kids educated in Britain are private school, but that it dominates the top of British society. The private school kids make up disproportionate numbers of people in the top of politics and the media and everything from doctors to lawyers to whatever sort of field you can excel in. It is dominated at the top by people who went to private school, shutting out millions of kids before they even know that they're in a race. The next one is health inequality. For example, to get the 114 bus from Allestree in Derby to Arboretum in Derby, from a leafy suburb to a council estate, for every 3.5 minutes on that 35-minute journey, the average life expectancy drops by an entire year. And lastly, is the fact that actually founded Britain Has Class, is why we exist, is that for working class kids who do make it into university, which is about a sixth of those who make it into higher tier institutions from wealthier backgrounds, for every one student from the top 20% of society, from an affluent family that drops out, there are at least two that drop out from the bottom 20% of socioeconomic backgrounds. That there's sort of this weight on working class kids. And it's something that we felt when we were here, but also something that the IFS proved in their study, that it wasn't a financial thing, it's human capital. It's this idea that you don't belong. That even though you've worked so hard and done so much to get here, you're still surrounded by your betters and not your equal. People who have done things and seen things and learned things that you'll never know and that you'll never see and never experience. Because they spent their summers travelling and working, and you spent your summers in a Tesco. So what we did is we got together as just a group of alienated kids. Actually, fun fact, I think every single founder of Britain Has Class tried to drop out of LSE at least once. There are three of us, we're all from here, and we all had to be taught out of leaving forever. So what we did is we got together and we wanted to make sure that didn't happen to anyone who came in after us. We wanted to create a friend, a network, someone that would stop us from dropping out if we didn't have those lucky chances that kept us in. And we got together and we ran a working class student-led campaign and created the first ever democratically elected working class officer, who is our champion here tonight, Jess. She'll be up in a bit. But not only has she done some incredible stuff that I'm hoping to tell you about, but just in running the campaign, in having other students stand up and say, I'm proud to be working class, and I know what I am, and I'm glad of it, and I deserve to be here as much as everyone else deserves to be here, had such a demonstrable impact on everyone else, on working class kids who we didn't know were working class, because you cover it up, because you're ashamed to be from where you're from, and to be from the sort of family that you've come from. So that's what we founded, and we're expanding that to the rest of sort of Britain, eventually, hopefully, through the three things I said at the start. Representation, we're campaigning for class officers throughout Britain. We've got 3 wins so far. LSE, York and SOAS now have paid working class officers. And then by the end of 2018, when we hope to have 30 paid SU working class officers throughout Britain, we're going to expand to pushing for working class caucuses in political parties and collectives in unions. To be anywhere that working class people need a voice, we want to give them one that is there permanently, not one by a single election, but is paid to be there and to represent working class people. And that ties into our parliamentary work, where we're launching 3 weeks tomorrow, event in Parliament, with the hope of getting a minister for class issues in about 5 years' time. We platform working class experiences. We put voices to the fore that wouldn't have been put to the fore otherwise. People with things to say who don't get to say them. Putting this together into various research projects that we run and a book that we're publishing at the end of the year. And finally, and most importantly, we create a network of activists. There are thousands of people doing incredible stuff throughout Britain, saving schools, mentoring each other, creating work, and they just don't know each other, they're not connected. So we want to be the umbrella that brings them all in. I'll put a little shopping list here of what we can do. £100 essentially pays for an officer. We can send someone out, they can do the work, they run the campaign, they help the students there, and they create a friend for someone out there. But more importantly, despite all these things that we put up, what we're asking you for is room to breathe. We all work full time, we run this off the backs of the jobs that we actually do in our daytimes, much to our boss's annoyance. We pay for all of this off our own backs. We're brand new, and we're unorthodox, and we're political, and that means that we can't fundraise the way that regular charities can. So we're asking you to be our first ever donors and help us put the class back in Britain. Essentially what we've seen from the response we've had, which has been absolutely incredible. We know why we do what we do because of all the tears that we shed and all the people who come up to us and tell us why what we do is important, but we've also seen how far we can go. We've had an incredible response. I mean, we founded in November and we're launching in Parliament 3 weeks from tomorrow, trying to get a parliamentary group together. We're doing a lot, so all I can leave you with, if I can say one last sentence, is whatever money you donate today will worst case go to giving a working class kid who's lost a friend and a place to call home. But we might also have something really, really special here. Thank you.